Astroturfing. Astroturfing is the practice of masking the sponsors of a message or organization, for example, political, advertising, religious, or public relations, to make it appear as though it originates from and is supported by grassroots participants. It is a practice intended to give the statements or organizations credibility by withholding information about the source's financial connection. The term astroturfing is derived from astroturf, a brand of synthetic carpeting designed to resemble natural grass, as a play on the word grassroots. The implication behind the use of the term is that instead of a true or natural grassroots effort behind the activity in question, there is a fake or artificial appearance of support. In political science, it is defined as the process of seeking electoral victory or legislative relief for grievances by helping political actors find and mobilize a sympathetic public, and is designed to create the image of public consensus where there is none. Astroturfing is the use of fake grassroots efforts that primarily focus on influencing public opinion and are typically funded by corporations and governmental entities to form opinions. On the internet, astroturfers use software to mask their identity. Sometimes one individual operates through many personas to give the impression of widespread support for their client's agenda. Some studies suggest astroturfing can alter public viewpoints and create enough doubt to inhibit action. In the first systemic study of astroturfing in the United States, Oxford professor Philip N. Howard argued that the internet was making it much easier for powerful lobbyists and political movements to activate small groups of aggrieved citizens to have an exaggerated importance in public policy debates. A study published in the Journal of Business Ethics examined the effects of websites operated by front groups on students. It found that astroturfing was effective at creating uncertainty and lowering trust about claims, thereby changing perceptions that tend to favor the business interests behind the astroturfing effect. The New York Times reported that consumer reviews are more effective because they purport to be testimonials of real people, even though some are bought and sold, just like everything else on the commercial internet. Some organizations feel that their business is threatened by negative comments, so they may engage in astroturfing to drown them out. Online comments from astroturfing employees can also sway the discussion through the influence of groupthink. Some astroturfing operatives defend their practice. Regarding movements that have organized aggressively to exaggerate their sway, author Ryan Sager said that this isn't cheating. Doing everything in your power to get your people to show up is basic politics. According to a Porter Novelli executive, there will be times when the position you advocate, no matter how well framed and supported, will not be accepted by the public simply because you are who you are. Data mining expert Bing Liu estimated that 1/3 of all consumer reviews on the internet are fake. According to the New York Times, this has made it hard to tell the difference between popular sentiment and manufactured opinion. According to an article in the Journal of Business Ethics, astroturfing threatens the legitimacy of genuine grassroots movements. The authors argued that astroturfing that is purposely designed to fulfill corporate agendas, manipulate public opinion, and harm scientific research represents a serious lapse in ethical conduct. A 2011 report found that often paid posters from competing companies are attacking each other in forums and overwhelming regular participants in the process. George Monbiot said that persona management software supporting astroturfing could destroy the internet as a forum for constructive debate. An article in the Journal of Consumer Policy said that regulators and policymakers needed to be more aggressive about astroturfing. The author said that it undermines the public's ability to inform potential customers of substandard products or inappropriate business practices, but also noted that fake reviews were difficult to detect. Use of one or more front groups is one astroturfing technique. These groups typically present themselves as serving the public interest, while actually working on behalf of a corporate or political sponsor. Front groups may resist legislation and scientific consensus that is damaging to the sponsor's business by emphasizing minority viewpoints, instilling doubt, and publishing counterclaims by corporate-sponsored experts. Fake blogs can also be created that appear to be written by consumers, while actually being operated by a commercial or political interest. Some political movements have provided incentives for members of the public to send a letter to the editor at their local paper, often using a copy and paste form letter that is published in dozens of newspapers verbatim. Another technique is the use of sock puppets, where a single person creates multiple identities online to give the appearance of grassroots support. Sock puppets may post positive reviews about a product, attack participants that criticize the organization, or post negative reviews and comments about competitors under fake identities. Astroturfing businesses may pay staff based on the number of posts they make that are not flagged by moderators. Persona management software may be used so that each paid poster can manage 5 to 70 convincing online personas without getting them confused. Pharmaceutical companies may sponsor patient support groups and simultaneously push them to help market their products. Bloggers who receive free products, paid travel, or other accommodations may also be considered astroturfing if those gifts are not disclosed to the reader. Analysts could be considered astroturfing since they often cover their own clients without disclosing their financial connection. To avoid astroturfing, many organizations and press have policies about gifts, accommodations, and disclosures. According to the Financial Times, astroturfing is commonplace in American politics, but was revolutionary in Europe when it was exposed that the European Privacy Association, an anti-privacy think tank, was actually sponsored by technology companies. Although the term astroturfing was not yet developed, an early example of the practice was in Act 1, Scene 2 of Shakespeare's play Julius Caesar. In the play, Cassius writes fake letters from the public to convince Brutus to assassinate Caesar. In the early 1900s, disposable cup vendor Dixie Cups convinced travelers to avoid public drinking cups found in trains and shops through a pamphlet called The Cup Campaigner. The pamphlet warned that public drinking cups could spread disease and did not disclose that the message was commercially motivated. The term astroturfing was first coined in 1985 by Texas Democratic Party Senator Lloyd Bentsen when he said, "A fellow from Texas can tell the difference between grassroots and astroturf. This is generated mail." Benson was describing a mountain of cards and letters sent to his office to promote insurance industry interests. In 2009-2010, an Indiana University research study developed a software system to detect astroturfing on Twitter. Some of these cases caught the attention of the popular press due to the sensitivity of the topic in the run-up to the 2010 U.S. midterm political elections, and subsequently many of the accounts involved were suspended by Twitter. The study cited a limited number of examples, all promoting conservative policies and candidates. In 2003, GOPteamleader.com offered the site's users points that could be redeemed for products if they signed a form letter promoting George Bush and got a local paper to publish it as a letter to the editor. More than 100 newspapers published an identical letter to the editor from the site with different signatures on it. Similar campaigns were used by GeorgeWBush.com and by MoveOn.org to promote Michael Moore's film, Fahrenheit 9/11. In 2014, the Toronto Sun conservative media organization has published an article accusing Russia of using astroturf tactics to drum up anti-fracking sentiment across Europe and the West, supposedly in order to maintain dominance in oil exports through Ukraine. In Canada, a coalition of oil and gas company executives, grouped under the Canadian Association of Petroleum Producers, CAPP, also initiated a series of Canadian actions to advocate for the oil and gas industry in Canada through mainstream and social media, and using online campaigning to generate public support for fossil fuel energy projects. As an example of such astroturf movements, the Canada Action organization was registered in 2012 by a realtor from Calgary, Alberta, who has said publicly that he financed Canada Action with his own money, but has refused to say if the organization has received industry or political funds. In 2006, two Edelman employees created a blog called Walmarting Across America, about two people traveling to Walmarts across the country. The blog gave the appearance of being operated by spontaneous consumers, but was actually operated on behalf of Working Families for Walmart, a group funded by Walmart. In September 2013, New York Attorney General Eric T. Schneiderman announced a settlement with 19 companies to prevent astroturfing. He is quoted as saying, "Astroturfing is the 21st century's version of false advertising."